Well, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me, and I'd like to welcome you to the last day of the Sailplane Grand Prix in Cerdanya. The weather looks good. We've had a fantastic week. It's been very cooperative. We only have one day when the thunderstorms prevented us from flying a race. And today we have a similar weather to yesterday, but the cloud base will be a little lower. We have 3,000 meters cloud base. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me, and I'd like to welcome you to the. Okay, slight glitch there. And we have 3,000 foot cloud base, 3,000 meter cloud base on the mountain tops. And I'm just going to walk you through the task, and we're waiting for the start line to open. Should be open in about 5 minutes. The important thing to remember is that this broadcast is an experiment. We have the tracker system from Track 24, and we're taking the information, and by careful use of some plug-in software, we're managing to transmit this live to you via Google Live. If it works, we shall hopefully be able to develop this further to make an easy system for live race commentary for glider races. If you enjoy the race, please give us the feedback. If you have any problems, please send us a mail to brian@sgp.aero. And I walk you first, whilst they're coming back to get ready for the start, I'll just walk you quickly through the start. And we want to take the look at the route via Google Live. If it works, we shall hopefully be able to develop this further. And I'll just take you through the routes that the competitors will take. The first turning point is in Andorra. It's a small mountain, which turning point is called the Antenna. Mountain's about 7,000 feet at the top, about 2,600 meters. And you can see that the route that they will have to take from the start is on the south side of this massif here, where we expect to see a good convergence in this area. From this point, they will come round on the west face above the Andorra Valley, fly into Andorra, and into the turning point here. Second turning point is at the eastern end of the Cerdanya Valley, but it's not possible to fly this directly because here the ground is very high and the cols are very high. So the competitors need to come back to the south and around the south side again to follow the Andorra Valley back up to Moncolit here, where they will hope to climb to a big altitude, back to 3,000 meters, and make it along into the turning point at the citadel at Montlouis. From Montlouis, they have to change the valley side and come to the south. And there back to Alp, which is near to the airfield at Cerdanya. And now they need to go to turning point 4 in Seu d'Urgell. But to do this, they will probably have to cross back to the north side of the valley and follow the massif along again. They then return along the same convergence line, we hope, to take the final turning point at Cerdanya. We just look in now at the pilots getting ready to start. You can see the start line is here. We can see that they all have a good altitude, and I can give you we just check the altitude. And 1 second, we have a small glitch with the clock here. The maximum start altitude is 2,500 meters. Most of the competitors are 2,700, 2,800 meters. We have a semicircle in the start. They cannot turn to the right in this area. They have to turn to the left. and everybody must be behind the line 1 minute before the start line is open. We can see the last competitors are now entering the zone here, with Aldo Rodriguez and Miguel Mondero being the last ones to enter. I would think that mostly they'll start on the north end of the start line, in this area here, and they will all be starting together, and they will try to fly straight onto the bottom of the Mount Carabassa, and here they will hope to climb back up to at least 2,600 meters or something more than that, and to continue. And we'll look at which way they choose in just one moment. Everybody is now circling and waiting to start, and we have most people up at 2,700, 2,800 meters and trying to position themselves to start. Today could be quite tactical. Thilo Hollinghaus is winning the competition. He has 37 points, which is a big lead. He has the second place, Kaya Lindenberg from Germany. He has 28 points. So Thilo really only has to score today to be sure of winning the competition. And then we have Werner Ammann, also from Austria. He has 23 points. And behind him, it's quite close. Peter Panek from Czech Republic with 20 points. Philippe Depeche from France, 18 points. And Fridolin Hauser from Switzerland, 14 points. And it's all fairly close together now. So we're running up. We've got 1 minute to go to the start. Everybody is positioning themselves. We're all grouping up together here. Who will lead out? That's the question. Will the leaders try to take the race to the rest of the people, or will they sit back and allow those people who are sitting in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth positions to fight it out for themselves? There's really no need for Thilo or for Kai to take any risk today. So one would expect that they would be a little bit slow at the start, and maybe they'll hang back. But knowing Thilo, he's going to be really ready to go. So we have 10 seconds to the start. In 10 seconds to the start, we can see people are beginning to run in now. You can see the line of gliders entering the start zone. Let's have a look closely at this. Mondero looks like he's going to be first over the line. With Philippe Depeche here, he's very close to the line. And Mike Young's not hanging back. We have Fridolin back here, who's hanging around a little. And Jill is back there with them, Jill Spreckley, back just behind the pack. Serge just made a turn. He's trying to time it just right. And the start line is now open. Nobody's in a hurry to be first across. It looks like it may be Philip is going to be the first. And Serge Leclerc from France is first across the line, closely followed by Philippe Depeche from France and Mike Young. Mike's really at the northern end of the line, and we'll see what his tactic is. Just to look at where they're going to go now, they are heading for Montcarlit, which is here, where the cursor is moving. But also there's a big lift here. There's good energy and chance to get quite high here. So we'll see. Some people may split. It could be that some guys decide to come on the south face here of Carlit, and some try to go onto the Marangues mountain. Everybody's being drawn that way. Yep, Mike's leading the way. And we can see everybody's beginning to turn right. And they're heading back into the Climate Marangues. I think this is probably not a bad tactic. Thilo seems to be quite happy in the pack there. Kai is sitting in the pack also. Mike's at 2,300 meters. This corner of the mountain here is about 2,200 meters. So they will arrive just above the corner of this mountain, above the plantation, just to the north of La Cerdanya. And I would expect them to climb here. Would expect them to climb very quickly. They're moving quite quickly, 190 kilometers an hour, and not hanging around. If they don't climb on the corner, they will head right up into the top of the valley, but this is not usually a great place to climb. But it doesn't really matter because everybody's decided that Mike's leading the way. And I don't think anybody has chosen a different route. Nobody has gone direct for Khalid. They've all come to the north to climb on this in this area here. In the just in the corner here, in the top of the valley, is a refuge. There's a mountain refuge right next to this beautiful lake. And this face that they're coming onto now faces to the west, and there's a big cumulus sitting right over it. So somewhere here, they will hope to find a really good lift. We can see that Mike's beginning to climb. He's got 2.5 meters, and most people seem to be connecting with this climb. If they climb here to 2,700, 2,800 meters, there's a good chance that they can make it along the top of the mountain here directly onto the next massif to the west. This massif, this peak here to the west is Tossa Plana, and it takes them on the run into Andorra. Mike's climbed already back to 2,500 along with Philippe de Pesci. They're together climbing well, and we can see that 4 or 5 gliders are already back. It looks like they're all together. Just have a look from the side, see how this, if we can get a side view on this, and we can see that the whole gaggle are climbing together just over the corner of the mountain there. You have to excuse the amateur controlling here. I'm not an expert at this, but I'm doing my best. That's the west face. They're just above the tops. They need to climb to 2,700, 2,800 meters minimum in order to continue direct. Thilo's already breaking out. He's heading off for the higher ground up this side. On the north end of the valley, he needs to be pretty high. To get out of there, you need to be 2.8, 2.9, something like that. There is a col you can go over at about 2,600, but it's not the fastest route. Mike and Philippe de Pesci have now climbed to 2,600 feet, and we can see that Fridolin, he found a different core, and he's climbed up to where is he? He's about 2,600 meters or so. So we come back to look at the top view again. And we're going to come back down the valley and see, yeah, they're going to still climb there for a while. It's pretty interesting, the tactics of this, because it's not really a good idea to get a long way out in front early on, because you can easily make a mistake and the others catch you up. So it's a little bit like the Tour de France in a way. People are going to be quite relaxed about the first couple of thermals, but they will look for an opportunity. Each of the pilots that needs to get a really good result today, he'll be looking for the opportunity to break away from the group. He'll be looking for a chance where he can put some kilometers between him and his competitors and hopefully get a good climb or a good run and make it impossible for them to catch him. The important thing about Grand Prix racing is that the scoring depends on your position, and your position gives you a point, not the time between them. The time between the finishers is not really relevant. You can beat somebody by just 1 second and you get the extra point. Beating him by 20 minutes, you still only get the extra point. You can see in the overall results from this competition But Kai, for example, he's outlanded twice. He's failed to complete the task twice, and he's lying in second place. Whereas at the bottom, Jeff, Billy, and Jill, they completed every task and at quite good speeds, but they've just not got into the points. So it's quite a fierce scoring system, but it allows people to fly and take a competitive risk to push on and try to get ahead of the others. Now we are coming up, still looking for altitude. They're still trying to climb above that witching magic level of about 3,000 meters. 2,800, 2,000, 2,800 for most people, and they can see they're still climbing at 1 to 2 meters. Nice cumulus on the top here. If they climb high enough here, they'll be able to run along the top of these mountains all the way into Andorra. This is quite a different tactic to previous days. On the previous days, when the race has taken them to the west, mostly they come round the corner and onto the plateau here, where you normally get a convergence, which allows them to come around Monteril, and all very slow. Seems that everybody's decided that today they want to operate much, much higher. And whether that's because most pilots have got a conservative tactic today is difficult to say. Mike's now at 3,000 meters, so we can expect to see them leaving in a minute, and we can expect to see them running quite fast, 200 kilometers now maybe, along the top of the mountains, and along the top of Tossa Plana and onto the mountain of Monterey. Today, the winner gets a bonus point. So not only does the winner get 10 points, but they get an extra point for winning on the last day. And this means that it's possible, even for Mike, to qualify for the World Sailplane Grand Prix final, providing he gets the bonus points, and the guy in third place, which is Werner Ammann, he doesn't score. It's a pretty long shot, I would say, but knowing Mike, he'll be going for that. He'll be trying to get that bonus point. He'll be trying to get the 11 points today, and he'll be hoping for a little bit of luck with his competitors. We all streaming away now on the top. You can see the Tilo has hung back, and Kai Lindenberg's back in the gaggle. Werner's not going to be left behind. He's going to stay in touch there. He wants to protect his third place. He's got to worry a little bit about the guys behind him, who are Peter Panek and Philippe de Pesci. If Philippe de Pesci can beat Walter beat Werner by 5 points, then he can take third place. Mike's now 3,000 meters still around Monteril. He'll be running into the next turning point quite soon. Sorry, he's just over the top of Carabassa. Has to run here onto Tossa Plana, and from Tossa Plana they have to run down onto Monteril. Monteril's not so high. It's about 2,700 meters. Here there'll be a good convergence of these spines, but they've got the altitude now to run right along the very tops. They might even not bother to come on the south face. If they can see a good route, they could go directly from here to the turning point and then come back onto this western face here, which should give them good lift. Here we're on the airfield at La Cerdanya. It's a beautiful day. Benjamin's next to me, giving me lots of technical support. You can probably hear in the background, we've got the parachute aeroplane starting up. There's microlighting, there's helicopters. It's all happening here in Cerdanya. It's a true air sports center in beautiful valley in Spain, and it's got the most wonderful microclimate for gliding. It also stays open most of the day without any cloud cover, so it's also an excellent place for parachuting. And in the mornings, there's rarely any wind, which is a great place for the microlights to fly from the airfield. On the side of the valley, we also have paragliding and parascending, and so every morning there's ballooning. So every air sport is represented here, and everybody comes in this valley to have a great time. Back to the race, we can see that Mike is leading. Werner's decided that he's going to stick with Mike. He's not going to let Mike go. We've got remarkable performance here from Eva Mensa. Eva is flying a Pegasus. Pegasus is a glider with much lower performance than the racing ships that are being flown here. She's been flying really well this week. She's done some great flights, and she managed to pick up some points one day when some of these guys made a big mistake, and she was ready. Fortunately, Eva had a really bad day yesterday when she didn't have enough altitude to get to one of the turning points. Some of the turning points in the competition are right on the top of the mountain and very high, which is why you will see they have a radius sometimes of 3 or maybe 5 kilometers. If the pilots have to get really close to these turning points, it may not be possible because of low cloud or because of the height of the mountain. And we increase the radius so they can touch into the turning point sector low down the mountain slopes, and they don't get stuck there. We had one day earlier in the competition when this happened in the Pushma, and many pilots were not able to make the turning point. I'm just going to look at the whole picture again, see where everybody is. We can see that everybody is along the top of the slopes here. Unfortunately, with the size of the labels on here, people disappear underneath. But you can see when I'm moving around that most people are there together. There's not much difference in them. Also, almost everybody is at the same height, between 2,800 2,920 meters. So they're all sticking together. Peter Panic's a little bit higher, but it looks like we've lost his flight recorder. Silvero de la Rosa's hanging back a little bit. He's not climbed quite so well. Oh, no, we've lost his tracker. So I think these guys at the back here, that's not really their position. It's just that we've lost their trackers. They'll come back, I'm sure, when they get a bit lower in the mountain. There's no need now. There's not necessary for our leading guys to take the western faces here into Andorra. They can come right off the top. They're high enough to run across the Andorra Valley into the turning point at the Andorra, the big television antenna there, and then come back onto the mountain. I've been joined this afternoon by Sergei Pujol. Sergei is the chief instructor and in charge of the operations here. And we'll get Sergei to give us a few words in a moment about where they're flying and the sort of heights they need. What will be interesting to watch now is Mike and Werner, if they take the turn and come directly back onto this slope here. What do you think they'll do, Sergei? Do you think they'll come back onto the slopes just on the eastern side of the Andorra Valley?
Yeah, I think it's really nice altitude, and we have enough altitude to go to the point and come back. This Rabasa, because it's an area that you can climb always really nice.
And what we can tell you about this is that this slope here, the slope that they're coming back to, is looking at it here. When they come around the turn, they come back to the west, on the eastern side of this valley, to the west here, and this is a very big westerly facing slope. When they take the turn, they can come onto the corner. The corner's about 2,300 meters?
Yeah.
2,300 meters. They probably will be level with the top, or maybe even a little lower. They will use 400 meters probably to make the turning point and come back to here. When they come onto the slope, the cloud base on this slope is probably not so high. and it's normally the right tactic to follow the slope to the south until they come down to this point here, which is to the south of the point, and this is the Cap del Box, and it's 2,000 meters. And normally in this area they should climb really well. They have a good convergence between the south faces above Serra de Gel and the west faces above the Andorra Valley. We look back on the top and see where everybody is again. Yeah, they're all still together. We have quite a pack here today, Sergi. We have quite a group sticking together here.
Yeah, everybody start in the good position and everybody fly together.
We can watch Mike Young now come into the turn, and Philippe is there with him first. So now we can see just into the turning point. Philippe is turning first with Mike Young, Werner Ammer, closely followed by Kai Lindenberg. Eva's sticking with them. She's not hanging around there. She's really up with them. But Eva's lost altitude a little bit. And Philippe is 2,500 turning. I'm amazed, Sergi, that a Pegasus can fly with all these ASG 29s and Ventus 2s and doing nearly as well. It makes you wonder how well she would be flying if she had a Ventus 2.
Eva.
Eva, yeah.
Eva Bensan, okay. Eva, yeah, Eva knows the place and she's a really nice pilot. And he make a good race every day.
Yeah. Mike and Philippe have turned. Werner has turned with them. They all turned at 2,600 meters. Now, on this mountain, it's a beautiful L-shaped mountain. And it's not at all unusual to find in the top of the mountain really good thermal. And we can see that Mike and Werner have decided to take it and go. And Philippe has decided that he's going to climb here. Philippe is showing not such a strong lift, maybe 2 meters or something. This could be the moment when people split. Some people may decide to go and join Philippe and climb up, and others may decide to make the turn and go straight back to the western slopes. Looking at the route back, we can see that it's not far for them to come straight onto the eastern side of the valley, where they're going to get maybe a good run. It could be they get a good run, which brings them along to the south of Monteril. This is the top of Monteril here, and you can see where they're trying to go now. They're trying to leave the turning point, come to the south, into the convergence, which will almost certainly be on this south face here, and follow this convergence back and around back over Marangues into the area of Khalid here. When they get to Khalid, they should have a nice high run back to the easternmost turn in the citadel at Mont Louis. Let's try and position this so we can see better what's happening here. Yeah, it looks like the few turns that Philippe did have dropped him not far behind, but a little bit behind. You can see he's only just coming back on the slope. Mike and Werner are heading straight back to the slope. Werner's really hugging the hill here. Werner is at, he's about 2,500 meters. He's actually right down on the bend. And Mike Young, he's coming back into the same area there. We can see here much more clearly now as everybody comes back in. Mike's heading for where you get the convergence, the best part of the convergences. He's not quite so high as Werner. He's 200 meters lower, So he can't take the route around the very top that Werner's taking. Werner's just that little bit higher, and he will be able to come along this space here. Mike's a little bit lower, and he'll have to come out and around the bottom side of the mountain. Lost Werner now for the moment. Kai Lindenberg, he's close behind them. He's 2,400 meters. He's good. He's good. He'll come around the corner okay. How high is Werner now? It's got 2,500. For the moment, I've lost Werner. Yeah. And then we've got Philippe Depeche is coming in at 2.5. He'll be pushing hard to catch up. He will not want to lose touch. He won't want to let these guys get away. He's going to be hot on the heels, and he's going to be trying to push, make the others behind push much harder. We've lost Werner for the moment. Have we lost his tracker? Yeah, we seem to have lost Werner's tracker. So we can only assume that he's come around this side. He's got high enough, he's got enough altitude now to follow the face along here, around and back onto this northern side. Mike may not stop. I think Mike may decide that he can take all the way around the corner at 2,500. He'll come back over the spine. This spine is quite high. It's 2,400 meters. And if we go into it, you can see where he's got to go. We can see that Kai is close behind. And maybe Mike's just going to take a little bit of altitude here. No, he's following the edge. He's going to come back onto this big, big slope here. Is he going to climb or not? I think he'll also be with Werner. Werner will be in this area here. Let's hope we get his tracker back in a few minutes. He'll be coming back on. Once you cross the spine, and we look a little bit further on, there's a big flat area here, just south of Plano de Tosas. And this is a good area, isn't it, Sergio?
No, the normal with this wind, it's a turbulent area, and you need to try to find some thermal here for this position. Yeah. You normally have a good thermal here. If not, you cross the valley of the Llosa Valley, and you go to Carbasa, and normally you find something.
So this area of circling here with the cursor, this is quite often a very strong climb in this area. It's impossible to understand quite why, but we have a very strong small convergence here. Mike hasn't flown here before, but he's learnt enough this week and talking to the other guys to know that this is a very good place to find the climb. It's also not too bad to push for this, because if it doesn't work, you can come onto Calabasa and you can come along to the corner here, and maybe you get a climb in this area here. Kai is doing a turn on this point. Kai's down at 2,500. Mike's running for it at 2,300. He's not going to let anybody fly conservatively today. He's going to really have a go for those 11 points. For him, it's that or nothing. Werner's come back, and we can see they're together again. Werner's come back. Werner Hazy is at 2,500 meters. He's a little bit higher than Mike because he was able to take a shorter cut along the top, and he might have gained a little bit of height off the top here, which Mike didn't get. Looking at the back now, where everybody's still coming along, we've got Fridolin Hauser and Joe Spreckley, Silvero, Del Rosa, Tilo's having a nice day. He can sit there and just have a nice flight. He just has to come home. And he has to come home, hopefully with a few points. And he should be able to maintain his position. And back here at the tail enders, Aldo Rodriguez, who flew so brilliantly yesterday to come third, and Miguel Bondero. They're getting a little left behind now. They're with Serge Leclerc, and they look like they're struggling a little bit. What's happened to Eva? We can't. She's here. She's with Fridolin. She's still running up for it, and yeah, she's still got a good altitude. She's up at 2,400 meters. Yeah, she's able to carry on, and she's flying with Philippe and Jill. They're flying together. And so they're probably having a good little race here, a good little group here in the second three. I know that Jill, she came not expecting to fly the competition, but was persuaded on the last minute that she ought to fly. And she took a few days to get into it. But now she's really said she wants to get some points. So today she won't be hanging around. She'll be pushing it as well. Kai and Werner have stopped to climb. They've stopped to climb at the point just Tossa, and we can see that there's now got a separation. Mike's gone on. Now, the question is this a good idea? He's only 2,300. He's not high enough to get over this mountain. He'll have to run along the face. How high does he need to be, Sergei, to climb over the top of Caravassa?
The Caravassa normally it's in the top it's 3,800 something.
Yeah, right up at the top.
2,800.
So here it's about 2,600, yes. I think.
He goes down.
At this height, he'll have to come all the way out to this end on the south side. It still may not be bad, because it could be that he will run all the way along in lift. We have a westerly wind, and with a westerly wind, it may be he has good lift here, and he can climb as he goes. They won't get that benefit if they climb up. We can see that Werner is 2,900 meters, Kai is 2,600 meters below him, and Philippe Depeschi is coming in along with Eva and Jill and Klaus and Thilo. Thilo is coming in also 2,400 meters. So that's one big group together. Mike's going on. He said, no, I'm not having this. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to push it. We're going to see what happens next, because as they come, a big altitude here. And what do you think, Sergio? They can go straight over the top.
Yeah, I think he tried to do this. He tried to take altitude, and it's a good option. If you have enough altitude, if you cross from here, you have good thermals here, normal, and you arrive really in good altitude to Maranhães Valley.
Yeah, and then the Roig here, you call this the Rock Roig? Yeah, this mountain?
No, this is Puigpedrós.
Puigpedrós, okay. Yeah. So you would climb, you would be able to come along onto here, and above over these lakes here, which is very beautiful part of the world. And this is this is 2,800 meters, I think, at this point.
Puigpedrós is 2,900.
2,900, yeah. Mike still hasn't stopped. He's still running on. He's 2,200 meters. He needs to get a good climb. He will need to climb well in this area in order for this tactic to have been good. Werner has climbed to 3,000 meters here, and he will now come over the top. I would think that he will catch Mike. I would think that he will certainly pass over the top here. He'll pass Mike, even if Mike gets a good climb. If Mike doesn't get a good climb, he'll be with all of these guys in a moment or two. They have to move on from here. They have to move on from here onto the plateau of Khalid.
Yes.
Yeah? And to the mountain of Khalid. It's quite high, this plateau, Sergio.
It's 2,900 Khalid, and the plateau it's maybe 2,700. And the plateau, the normal not works. You need to go here for this area.
Yeah.
When the plateau starts, you can find good thermal there. If not, behind you have Tour de Carol Valley, but it works really nice at the moment.
So the valley and the E9 here runs from Spain into France through La Tour de Carol and through the Col de Puigmelon and down into towards Toulouse. We have a big western face here on the valley, and quite often you get good lift along this face. The peak of the mountain at Khalid is a long spine, quite high, but underneath it, all the way down to the valley, is what, 7 kilometers?
Yes, more or less.
6-7 kilometers. All of that land is at about 2,600 meters. So to get onto there, you need to be high. You need to be 2.5 at the corner, and then you can climb back up it through 2.6 through 2.7. And here we can probably see cumulus. along the top of the mountain. It's definitely necessary to get altitude here. Without altitude here, it's going to be really difficult. Mike's climbing. He's not climbing fantastically, but he's climbing. Werner, he's coming on. He's 500 meters higher. I should think he'll run along the top here. And what's happened to the other guys? Yep, they're leaving. Werner, and we have Fridolin here. Fridolin has a habit of not bothering to climb. He's a mountain man, comes from Austria. He's very familiar with the mountains. He's so familiar with the mountains. This pilot has actually climbed the north face of the Eiger solo. So I don't think there's anything here is really going to phase him. Sorry, Fridolin's from Sweden. I'm from Switzerland. I'm terribly sorry. So Fridolin, I flew with him in the World Championships in Bolanga, and great Swiss pilot, and a great mountain man as well. Mike hasn't climbed very much, and he's left the thermal at only 2,200, and Walter Ammann is going along the top here now at 2,800. Yeah, well, that's what happens. Philippe Depesche, he's on a bit of a chase here. He's got 2,800, and with him, I think the blue with him is Thilo, or is it? It's Kai. Yeah, Philippe and Kai are together. Yeah, here we go, and we can see that they're running along the top here at 2,700. That's still not all that high here. Mike is really hoping now that when you hit the western faces here, he's going to get the good climb. What's going on at the back here? Well, Serge, he's down at 2,500 meters. He's with Jill. They're on the edge of the Montcheril. Here, they've only just come round the corner, and they're climbing up on that same place the others did. We have Aldo, who's caught up a little bit. Aldo and Miguel will be together here, and they're climbing up at 2,900 meters already. He's done very well, Aldo. And Aldo's back in the game. Peter Panik, he's now at 2,700 meters, and it seems like most of these guys have chosen to take the high route along the top here. We can see that Jill and Serge haven't really climbed that high. They didn't get up on the top, and they're now going to be running on the same sort of route that Mike took on the lower ground here. It's not going to be easy to get back today. It's not going to be at all easy to get back. Mike seems to have found a good climb on the western side of the Puy-Moron Valley. He's at 2,200 meters, and it looked like it was good, but it's not normally a good place, this. Is the sun and the wind are not really right for this spot, do you think?
No, the normal is the other side. But the sun is all day here. Sometimes it's possible to find.
And of course, what we can't see on our screen here is the cumulus, and there's maybe, just possibly, a convergence lying across here. And if there is a convergence, then it could be that they're heading underneath it to get their climb at this point, and maybe Mike will bring it back up again. He's climbing okay, but he's not so high. Werner's coming right past him. He's 600 meters higher. That's a lot of difference at this point in the race. It's going to be very difficult to get that back. Werner's going to need to make a mistake for Mike to get that back. Everybody else is together. It looks like really good fun they're having here. Kai and Philippe Depesche, they climbed really quite high. Philippe's up to 2,600 meters, and Kai is a little bit higher, I think. He's at 2,600 meters also. What do you think they'll do when they get onto the Carlisle Mountain? When they come on to the area after the Puy-Moron Valley here? Do you think they'll run straight, or do you think they'll have to stop and climb here, Sergio?
Well, we have a cloud street, and I think if you take the cloud base, it's easy flight go to the point and come back. the normal. It's a really beautiful area, this one, and works. Yeah, sorry, he go too out, but we have street clouds here now. You can see.
Yeah, we can see that there's cumulus along the top of these mountains. But the cumulus line goes to the north. It goes direction Laliegon, up in this direction here. They will be able to climb high here, but then they'll have to break off from the cumulus to take the next turning point. From the next turning point, they have to come on the south side of the valley. That may change things quite a lot. What's going on here? We've got Silvero's caught up quite well. Silvero's up there now. He's not very high. He's only 2,200, but he's going to climb on the corner here. I think that Jill will soon be with him. She's 2,300, and our friend Aldo, he's quite high now. Aldo, he's at 2,700, and these guys are running along the top. The area along the top here, you can see they're above the plateau. That's the peak on the top of the mountain where Kai is. This area here is very high. It's 2,400 meters, and they can cruise over the top of this, and they will go on to the next valley, past where Mike's climbing, and Mike's only 2,500. He's not climbed that well, and they need to cross over to where Werner is now. And Werner is coming on to the plateau on Carlit, and I suspect he's coming into the cumulus again. Do you think so?
Yes, absolutely. It's really high, and he keeps the altitude all the time.
Yeah. So from that sort of height, he's 2,900 meters now. From that sort of altitude, he should be able to cruise all the way along here. He might go, we'll see, if he goes a little north to follow the cumulus, and then comes down into the turning point. Mike's lost his second place now. At the moment, he's at 2.5, and we can see that Kai Lindenberg has passed him. In terms of energy, he's passing to the north, and he's about to be caught by these other guys. But these other guys need to climb here. Rodriguez Aldo may not need to climb, but certainly I think that Friedlin, he's at 2.6, so he can carry on okay. Jill, she needs to climb a little bit, I would have thought, but it looks like there isn't really a good climb here. And it looks like there isn't a good climb here, so people are just moving on slowly, flying only 140, 150 kilometers an hour at this point. It's not so fast. Kai's crossing the Puimaron Valley. He's not terribly high for this. He's going to arrive below the top. He will arrive below the top of the mountain here, and we can see what happens to him when he arrives. And he's going to need to climb. When he gets to this point here, we can see that Kai will need to climb. The glider models in this representation are not so great, but you can see what's happening here. There's the corner of the Puimaron. What do they call this valley, Sergey?
It we call, behind we have a lake. It's I don't remember.
Okay, but where you can see Port Puimaron,
This is called the Puimaron.
this is the tunnel entrance, or the tunnel that goes into France, and then the road goes zigzagging up over the Col de Puimaron just here, and the tunnel runs through underneath the mountain. Kai, is he climbing? Yeah. He's not really climbing at the moment. He's struggling there a little bit. He's really got to climb. He can't carry on. We can see that the ground is higher, and he's not really got much clearance between him and the plateau. If he goes on much further without gaining height, he's going to get really quite low. Mike's coming on to the same place. Maybe they're going to climb together. And we can see Werner, the white trace of Werner there, disappearing into the distance as Werner goes on towards the turning point of nearly 3,000 meters. Both Mike and Kai are flying along the top of the plateau now. They're not very high above the ground. And they have a little bit of a slope on the south side. And on this slope here, there may well be some new thermals coming on. And these thermals could be enough if they could find just one good bubble to get them back up again. We're joined now by Ignacy, one of our local pilots here in Macedonia. Yeah. Hi Ignacy, what do you think to the race so far? Have you been watching what's happening?
Yeah, I've been watching it, and looks pretty interesting, especially looking out of the window, seeing all the cumulus, and yeah, looks like the white track is getting the best lift, eh?
Do you think that there's a line of cumulus going up towards Laliegon, which is up here in this valley? Do you think there's some cumulus near Mont Louis?
Yeah, usually the cumulus, the ceiling goes lower all the way there, and probably there's a little bit of a how do you call that, convergence? Yeah, and but looks like now it's turning a little bit.
I think,
on
yeah,
2, 4.
and we can see that Werner has got another climb. He's already very high.
3,030.
Yeah, and he's really pulling away here. That climb he took back on Itatosa is really giving him a big lead on this.
Yeah, if he can maintain that high and just go just underneath the cloud base, it's the best way to go around here, the Cerdanya Valley.
Yeah,
because the peaks are pretty high.
Yeah, and also we have these flat areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the flat areas can give you a big problem if you get a little low.
Mm-hmm.
And you push further and further out onto the edge.
Especially on the way back.
Yeah, when they go to the south side.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting task, because now they'll have to choose if going to the south to the Alp point, the turn point number 3, or going same way they came and then just glide to the Alp.
When they come back on the north side, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you can see what we're talking about here when we look directly above. Everybody's taking this north side route, which they have to take really on the run into the Mont Louis turning point. And once they turn, they can come on the south side. There should be some cumulus here on the south side. It should be okay.
But doesn't look too good. And I was looking outside before I came here, and all the Cadi and all the south side doesn't look very good. And in fact, now where the release point was, looks like the cloud is stratified.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe it's gonna give some shade there.
Yeah,
we'll see how they choose.
Well, whilst we're watching Werner up at 3,000 feet running into the turning point here, and Mike, he's on his tail at 2,300, we can see at the back here it's really developing into a very difficult situation, because we can see that Eva and Jill together, they're not very high. They are only 2,000 meters on the slopes down here. This isn't terribly comfortable down here, I don't think.
No, it's not too bad, and usually works to recover there, but it's kind of hard to find a very good lift.
Yeah, because you can arrive there and there
Mhm.
can be 1 minute, there can be 3 meters, and the next
Yeah.
minute it's nothing.
Exactly.
Looks like they're turning and starting to climb. And it looks like that they're just probably going to be okay. They don't seem to have a very strong climb, but they're climbing, and that will make them more comfortable. If they can climb back up here, it doesn't look good because we can see Jill's not really centered. Silvero's with them, and Silvero is at, how high is he? He's 2,200, so he's a little higher. We can watch them now. We'll come back to them in a minute. We can see that up above, right on the high ground, we've got Philippe de Pesci, and Benjamin's telling me it's looking very moist outside. There's a south wind. Yep. On this task up here, it's good with the south wind, and the moist air from the Mediterranean and the Catalonian area should stop.
Yeah.
With the Col de Tesada and the Cadiz and Alp Mountain.
Yeah, stays there. It's pretty interesting. Sometimes if there is not strong southwest and there is a weak northwest, all the Cadiz creates a really good confluence, and it's really good. But today doesn't look like.
No. It looks like they're going to have to come. You can see that Werner's already decided the north side is better to come back. And he's going to come back up the north side. You can see the whole of this massif we were on before. And we have, what have we got here? We've got Werner coming back. We've got Mike climbing to go in. Mike's 2,400. Okay, he's not doing too badly. He's in front of Thilo. Thilo's going to join his thermal. Thilo's at 2,600. So he and Mike will be running in together in a moment. And very quickly behind them is Fridolin Hauser, 2,400 coming in. And we've also got Philippe de Pesce here. He's got 2,800. Aldo's way up on the top here. How high is he? He's at 2,700 and climbing. And we can see now that Jill and Ava are beginning to climb back here. They're going to come up okay, but they're really losing a lot of time. Serge, he's only at 2,400, but he is coming up to Fontainebleau. And this is the paragliding area, isn't it? Just here.
Yeah. I hear. Well, the launching, it's just
a little bit to the west.
Yeah.
Just a little bit to the east. But he's got a nice slope here.
Yeah.
He should be able to find a thermal in this area. Serge knows the area reasonably well. He's been instructed around here, so he should know where he's going to find lift. Unfortunately for Serge, last time he was low in this area, he landed at Santa Leocardi.
Yeah. Looks like Werner is gonna meet with either Young or Lindenberg.
Yeah, well, Werner's on the way back. He's cruising. He's cruising really high. He's back up at 3,000 meters already.
Wow.
And that's really high. We have Klaus here. And I'm sure that Mike's here with him also somewhere. Yep, Mike's here, and Mike and Klaus are Mike and Thilo. Mike and Thilo, I've got to stop doing this. Mike and Thilo are back up at 2,600 meters. I need a brain transplant at this time of the afternoon. It gets a bit late. I think we're soon going to need a Magnum fix. Get our blood sugar content back up. Aldo Rodriguez has climbed up to 2,800 meters. Not so high. I think he was probably hoping to get much higher. Philippe's running in behind him. Thilo and is still on the way in here, and I think this is Mike here. Yeah, and Mike's still on the way in, and he's 2.7.
Yeah.
Kai Lindeberg, he's now at 2.8. He's come well. He's come past the other guys. He's been catching up really well. And back here, Still on the west side, we can see that Eva and Jill are still trying to get up. They're still stuck down here, and they're trying to get back up to a good altitude.
It's like the Pesci is 2,900 and cruising and climbing.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be in a good position here because he's got a little bit more height than Mike, a little bit more height than Kai. So he's going to be able to go past them, which will put him in second place at the moment.
Yeah, looks like he's following the same track as Werner.
Yeah. Right now, it looks like the overall positions aren't going to change a great deal because we've got Werner out in front. Tito's with everybody. Kai is up there at the front.
Yeah.
And Philippe would need to beat Kai by 5 points. Well, that's not looking very likely at the moment.
No.
Because if Kai can finish in the first, if Werner wins and Kai finishes in the first 5 places, well, that's it. That's first, second, and third will be agreed. And we can see that Eva and Jill have decided their thermal's not very good. And they've gone on now towards Font-Romeu. They're going to come onto the slopes here. They're still not very high.
2,200.
Yeah. It's really miserable when you get stuck down there. You're not in the right place. You don't find good thermals. You don't find good climbs. And you start to get really depressed, don't you?
It is.
And the guys at the top, we have Werner here. He'll be happy. He'll be singing a happy tune. He's 3,000 meters. He's cruising. And he's heading now down to the east. He's got to cross the valley in a moment, and we'll see how he deals with that. For the moment, let's see what's happening at the turning point. Serge Leclerc, where's he come from? He's come all the way up to the turning point.
2,300 now.
Yeah, he just didn't stop. He just kept going and going and going.
Yeah, the problem is that you get low and then you start turning a weak thermal, and then you think you're just losing, wasting time, and every time you get lower and lower.
And we can see Mondero. Mondero is down, Miguel Mondero is down at 1,800 meters. That's not so comfortable. Jill and Eva, they're not very comfortable either. They're down at 2,000 meters. Just to remember, folks, the base of this valley at Cerdanya is 1,100 meters. Here in Sayagus, it's about
like a couple or 300 meters higher.
Yeah, it's 1,300 meters.
Yeah.
So they're only about 700 meters above the bottom of the valley. Yeah. Sounds like a lot of altitude, but believe me, it's not that comfortable. Yeah. And Werner's now turning down for the turning point down. There's no doubt that these guys here have to climb. They can't carry on getting lower and lower. They need here to get a climb. And I think they've already pushed it as far as they can go along here. I would like to see some altitude being gained at this point. And Silvero also, he's not so high. He's 2,300, maybe that's not so bad. Jill's decided that she doesn't want to carry on in that high ground. I think she'll come back quite sensibly to climb up. Eva might just have got to climb here. She might have got to climb up this slope. We zoom in on this and we see what's happening. And we can see, yes, she's got a little slope here. And she's climbing just off the face of these hills here. But she doesn't seem to be climbing all that well at the moment. She's just going around in zeros, trying to find something to take her up. All of this area just to the north of Eva is a ski resort. It's this ski resort of Font-Romeu in France. And you can see down here all the buildings and the ski jumps and the ski lifts of this area. Now she's climbing now. She's got a thermal now. It's still not good, but we'll come back to her in a moment and see what's happening. Jill's decided that she's going to come back to a safe altitude, and she's returning back down the valley. And there's Werner now. Werner's crossing the valley, and he'll be coming above us in a moment or two. He'll be coming into this turning point 3 to the south. He's still very high. He's up at 2,700 meters. He's got plenty of height to take the turn, take it, and then cross to the other side of the valley. Yeah, I think Jill's coming home. She's said, well, I'm not in the points today. I'm low. I don't like this. I think I'd better get out of here. I'm pleased to see that. That's excellent. We don't want, there's absolutely no point in pushing it at all if you're not in the points in this competition. Doesn't matter whether you get beaten by 1 minute, 1 second, or you land out. You still get no points if you're not in the first 9. Eva's still struggling to climb here. She's hanging around here, and she's still not very high, only 2,200 meters, but she's still trying. Philippe is now well on his second leg. Philippe is 2,700 meters. He's a really good altitude. Mike, he's on the way out as well. He's 2,900. I think Mike's decided that he can take a, looking at his track, he's going to go straight for the turning point and then cross the valley. So we have Mike and Philippe are going to run back. And yep, Serge, well, we wondered where Serge had come from to get into that turning point. Now we can see where he's going. Serge is getting really low. He's down at 1,900 meters. It's not very high, the same sort of height as Jill. He's struggling around here, and he will probably find it difficult to climb up on this side of the valley. Jill is coming back to the airfield. She's at 1,900 meters also. Going back onto the race, Werner's about to enter the turn. Werner's about to enter the turn, and what's he got? He's got a 2,600. He's got plenty of height to take the turn, cross to the north side, back on the plantation. As we expected this morning with the weather, the convergence area is very good once there's plenty of sun. The cumulus spreads out. We get the cumulus which spreads out from the top of the mountain, and it reduces the amount of sunshine on the mountain, and it reduces the amount of energy available. And what Werner is about to fly into is back to where we started, but without much sunshine. It looks like it's really moist. It's really spread out. There will be lift there. They will be able to continue. That's not a problem, but they won't be able to fly as fast as they were doing earlier or in previous races. They'll have to be much more careful about it and much slower. Mike is sailing back down the side of the valley. How high is he going to be, do you think? He's 2.8 now. When he turns, he's going to be about 2,200 maybe. Werner, he's turning at 2,600. Yeah. What do you think the minimum height is to climb away in these conditions, when they get back to Maranges?
Maranges, the best. I believe they're gonna go first to a little bit western, to La Carbaza, this area, because from La Plantas Maranges, even if it climbs better, then the jump it's kind of more difficult. And about 2.2, it's a good height. If not, then you start sweating a little bit.
That's right. And well, we can see now Werner, he's heading more or less to the Maranges Valley, but of course he could be heading to climb on the southeast corner here. It looks like Philippe, how high have we got? Philippe's at 2.5, Mike's at 2.7. Mike's got a really good height here. Yeah. And if he can come into the turn, there's a chance he can catch. There is a chance he can catch Werner, but it's not a very good chance at the moment. And it depends. If Werner gets stuck, if he doesn't find a good climb, when he comes onto the southwest face, then he's going to get caught. If he finds a really good climb, then he's away again, and he'll be running. After this, it's easy. I think once you climb up here, the rest of the flight should be quite easy to do because they should be able to fly it in the convergence line.
Yeah.
Mike's coming in at 2.6, and Philippe on the other side of the valley, he's coming in at 2.4. Yeah, whereas Kai Lindeberg, he's 2.7. But Kai and Tilo, we can see them in the back here flying together. They won't be in a hurry. Kai and Tilo, they'll just be cruising now because they don't need to rush. They don't need to take any chances. They can fly. What sort of speed are they flying? They're only flying 150, 160 kilometers an hour. They're taking it easy. Mike's doing 160. He wants to be at the best altitude he can. So he's flying at best glide angle. Yeah? And now it'll be interesting to see what happens to Werner.
Looks a very good choice, the one that Mike did, because Philippe was in front of him while Mike was climbing back just before the second turn point.
Yeah.
And now Philippe is gonna have to glide all across the Cerdanya Valley to do the alt point, and Mike still have a really good height, and in fact just passed Philippe right now.
It's interesting. Mike doesn't seem to have lost very much height at all.
Yeah.
From the turning point. He's obviously found a really nice line to bring him high down the side of the valley. He's going to be coming through the turn quite soon at about 2,500, 100 meters more than we expected him. Philippe, I think Philippe will have hoped to have climbed. He will be looking at this and thinking, wow, why didn't I get a climb here? Maybe he will. He's turning. Maybe he'll get a climb here. Werner's not climbing yet. He's going right up into the Marangis Valley. He's 2,400 feet. He'll be heading for the top. He's got enough height to come to the refuge. What height is the refuge in meters?
I believe it's around 2,250, something like that.
So, but to get the climb here, he'll need to be 2,300 when he gets to the top. And that's if there is a climb, because we can see it's really quite a lot of cloud shadow out there now.
It's pretty tricky.
And it might be quite difficult, although this area on his right now, there'll be some ridge lift. There's a westerly wind.
Yeah, should be good at least for a ridge climb, but we'll see how he finds the thermal. We can see a really good battle here between Tilo and Kai, which are the first and second position in the championship.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be having a battle, Ignacy. I think they'll be cruising.
Yeah, of course. But
they'll be sitting there saying, okay, for us, the game that's important now is to stay high, stay comfortable, stay in the points, not get out of the points. The guys who have to push here, we have Philip. He's got to push, and he is doing. He's coming in to the turn. He'll soon be there. It'll be 2,300 meters. There's a lot going on at the moment, and we have to try and get this so it looks a little bit more vertical. Yeah, Mike's into the turn and taking it now.
2,500.
Yeah, and Philippe's going to be turning at 2,100.
Yeah,
maybe 2,002.
And he has to cross back all the valley.
And look, we can see that Werner is beginning to climb. He's beginning to climb right up on the face and the top of the mountain. Not climbing that well, 2 meters, 1 meter, but actually 2 meters would be good. 2 meters would be very good now. And we can see what Mike does. Does Mike want to go the same direction that Werner did? Werner's not stopping, look, he's carrying on. But will Mike take the front face of Carabassa? Will he come round to the west side?
I believe he'll do that, because if he went all the way straight to turn point number 3, probably he's going to go straight to the other face. But we'll see.
But he's at 2.4. Yeah, not a bad altitude. You know, we have a west wind on the airfield at the moment. We have a west wind at altitude. So this western face of Carabassa, normally it's not very good. It's quite often you come here and you don't get good lift. But in this wind, there's a reasonable chance they get good ridge lift.
Yeah.
So he can cruise along this face of the ridge if he comes around the corner. Werner's problem now is he has to climb to get over the top.
Exactly, because if not, it's a really long way to go around this mountain. That's why at the first time, first moment, I was thinking that he would go straight to what we call La Carbassa.
Yeah.
And
what's happened to Miguel's still down low. Miguel's still down at 1,700 meters. Jill's down at 1,700 meters, but she's given up. She's decided that it's the last day. She wants to make sure that she comes home in good shape. Eva's still low. Eva really hasn't climbed. She's still down at 2,000 meters. And we can see that Silvaro, he's climbed a bit. Friedlin, he's up. And I think if we look back, we just want to see what Mike does here. We just want to see what the tactic is and what Philip does. Philip's also around the turn. And he's now heading for the same place. I think he's going to go with Mike. The difference in height, Mike is 2,300, Philip is 2,000. I don't think Philip's high enough to go onto Carabassa.
No.
I think he's only high enough to go back to the plantation. Werner, he's still at 2,700 and he's not really climbing. So it's not over yet, is it?
No, it's not.
It could all change yet. It's the wonderful thing about racing in gliders. You make one mistake and you can be in real trouble. And you just make one good decision and you can pull away. The fantastic thing about glider racing is it's three-dimensional. You have to worry about the speed, the distance, and the altitude.
Yeah.
And the excitement and the tension when you're flying towards somewhere and you're getting lower and lower and you start to get depressed and then you hit the good thermal and suddenly the whole world is bright again and you're climbing up quickly.
That's it.
So Ignacy, I think that if Mike is definitely coming now onto the front of Carabassa, he's going to be passing Werner, but Werner's climbed up well now. He's back up to 3,000 meters, so very quickly now he's going to be over the top.
He's already over at the top of Puig Pedros. That's just where he's turning right now. And he must have enough height to just cruise and cross as well.
Let's just watch what happens to Mike and Philippe. Philippe is really heading onto the corner of the plantation here. Jill was not really climbing there, but she's just climbing quite well here, which will be a marker for anybody coming in. They will see that she's climbing. Philippe's looking like he's trying to climb, but he's only 1,900 meters. Mike's having to pull out a little bit because he's really close to the top. If we look at what's happening to Werner, we can see that he's climbing up right in the top of the valley. And you can see that he's right up on the rock face now. I'm always a bit worried about doing this because I lose control. And he's climbed up above the mountain here. And he's now got the altitude to take it along the top, to cross over here, and to come on towards the next turning point. Whereas Mike is going to have to climb up a bit, because we can see now that Mike is coming onto this western face. Philip is climbing. Philip is climbing at not too bad. He's back up at 2,000 meters. So if we look now at what happens here with Mike, and we can see that he's coming onto this slope here, onto the Carabassa mountain. And he's coming round into this first bowl here.
Yeah.
Now, we should see that he's in lift. Yeah, he's in 1 meter there. If he's lucky, it'll continue all the way along the slope. If he's lucky, he'll be able to fly. And Werner's up here. And Werner's up here. at the top of the valley, and they're going to be meeting. Werner's now going to come out and across the top. Mike's cruising. He's cruising along the face. He's climbing all the time. He's got a little bit of westerly flow. He's back up to 2.2. By the time he gets to the end, he'll be 2.3, but Werner's going to be 2.7, 2.8. So there's still going to be 500 meters of altitude difference. Looks like Mike's going to climb here. Looks like he's trying to get a bit more altitude. Werner's across the top. It's not terribly interesting to worry about what Thilo and Kai are doing because they're just cruising here, but they're coming up quickly. They're 2,300 and they're going to be on the same corner with Mike any minute now. They're both going to be here. So Werner is still well ahead. He's still flying really well. He's made a good choice again. That's the second time we've seen that Werner's gone into the really high spot and climbed up well, and he's pulled away from the field. He rescued himself there. He climbed not very well to start with, but now he seems to have pulled that back. His climb was probably about 2 meters a second, and now he's cruising on the top. Mike not really climbed here. He's going to have to go. He's going to have to push on. And we can see that Thilo and Kai are just about to join him. They're just about to get a threesome again on this west face of Carabassa.
Yeah, Mike doesn't look like it's climbing very well.
No, it's not good at all there. Philippe is still struggling. He's only climbed up to 2,200 back on Marangas. He's not really connected there. And Peter Panek is he's way back now. He's 2,100, just going through the turning point, and we can see that at this point here, Peter and Aldo are just taking the turning point. But Peter's only at 2,100, and Aldo, where's Aldo? He's at 2.7. He's doing okay. And Werner has 65 kilometers to run on the task I saw. He's nearly got a final glide. Up where he is now, he shouldn't really have any problem to maintain that. He's high, he's running, he should be able to keep going. I don't think there's any chance for Mike to catch him down. We have Thilo and Kai coming in on the Carabassa to join Mike. See what happens there. And we have Philip here. He's still climbing up on the plantation, and he's climbing up at 2,300 meters. Yeah. Let's see, where's Eva got to? Oh, she's still down at 2,100 meters. Eva's still up this end of the valley somewhere. Oh, she's gone around no, I don't think she's gone around the turning point. I think she's decided that she's going to come back down this side, but she might have done. We've been not really watching that. I don't know. Would it have clicked over bench if she did? Yeah, I think she has done. She'll have just touched in the turning point, and she's come round. And Billy in his Libel, he's also around there, and he's coming back. And Miguel, well, here's Miguel. He's low down. He's having a bit of a struggle here. Wow, he's still 1,800 meters. Yeah? And you see the problem. These guys who got onto the low slopes of the mountain here, they just never really got up again. They've got really stuck here. And is it often like this in the valley?
Yeah, it's very hard to climb up there. It's because I believe it's just because all the terrain goes up and your height above terrain, it's not that much, so everything is weak.
You can see one of the solar panel power stations in the picture just on the left here. They're here because this valley has one of the highest number of sunshine hours a year in France. So they build their solar power stations here. Coming back to the other end now, what's happening to our leaders? Werner He's down almost onto the turning point. He's running onto Monteril, right on the very top. He's cruising now. He'll be home easy. He's got enough height here to take the turning point. He's 2,600 meters. He's at the top of the mountain. All he has to do now is glide down, take the turn, glide back onto the mountain, and cruise home. So for him now, it's an easy flight. Mike, it's a little bit more difficult. He's got to get some more altitude. They're 2-2. 2-2 is not so bad. They can climb here and then run along from here. Then Kai and Tilo, they've stopped to climb. They stopped exactly where Mike stopped. We can see that. But they're not doing any better though, are they, Ignacy? They're not really climbing up.
No, and Mike just decided to go ahead and go a little bit northwest. It's kind of flat over there, flatter, but usually works very well over there because it's a lot of bush there and it's kind of darker. Probably maybe Mike saw some more sunshine, or I don't know.
Well, I think that in that area, in this flat area, just below the peaks, there's usually a small convergence. And quite often in this area, it's quite a lot of cumulus, but there's often a really good climb, a really good core. If you hook it just right, you get 3 meters to cloud base. We saw Tilo do this a few days ago, and he's done it twice, which is surprising that Tilo isn't trying to do it again. But maybe he doesn't feel as if there's any hurry today. He doesn't really take any risk with this.
Yeah, looks like Tilo's now was climbing a little bit better.
2,300.
Not right now though.
Mike is where's he gone? He's up at 2,300 also.
Yeah.
He's sort of high enough to keep going, isn't he? I mean, he's a bit marginal. He can run along here to the west. He can take it around Monteril. He could make it around the corner, but he's not comfortable.
Yeah. The problem with all these valleys, Brian, is that they're facing kind of they go north-south. So when you're going west, if you can just find barriers, you know, because you're not high enough, and you have to go around, and it's a little bit a pain. But these people, they really know how to do the dynamic soaring, so
well,
they'll be fine.
And Vernon now has crossed over Monteril. He has the west face of Monteril and the eastern side of the Andorra Valley.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to take straight into the turn. He's 2,500, so he's going to turn at 2,300, maybe even 2,400.
Yeah.
This is actually almost final glide altitude.
I believe he'll be fine because just doing some dynamic, he'll be okay. And these machines, they glide like crazy.
They got a hell of a performance, especially they're flying at 50 kilograms a square meter. It's not maximum weight for his glider, but it's still a good weight. He's flying an ASG 29 in the 50 meter configuration, but at that weight he's got a really good glide angle and at quite a high speed. But we can see that the route he's taking in is along the spine. He's going to fly down that spine into the turning point. It'll be quite interesting to see if he loses any height. He's really not losing any height. We can see at the moment he's actually flying in lift. This is my favorite place in this area, just on the corner here. Some years ago, they had the Small Countries Olympics, and in this point here, they built a range for clay pigeon shooting. And you can see it on the top of the mountain, all the butts for the pigeon shooting. And just there, he's usually very good. He pulled up in good lift, and now he's running on down into the turning point. We have Mike chasing. Look what Serge Leclerc's up with him. Serge Leclerc is catching up really quickly. Now he's come from nowhere. Serge a few minutes ago was really low after Al. It looked like for him it was all over. but he's come back into the race. He's come back in the race probably by a low-level run along the ridges here.
I wouldn't like to be on his shoes though, because he's really low.
Yeah, he's 1900. If he's been running well to here, then he's probably happy to carry on running at the same height. We can see that Peter panicked. He's down to 1600 meters. Peter, he's way back and down low. He's not very comfortable just there, and he's not in a very good place. He's trying to get round. Philippe's with Philippe's with Thilo and Aldo, and Aldo is pushing on. Aldo's got 2-2. It's nothing like as good there as they might have expected. Let's watch Werner take the turn. Taking the turn at 2,400 meters. You've got to say it's been an excellent flight for Werner so far. Yeah. He's made a really good job of this. He got high in the right place. He's cruised in the right place. I think that it's a really good win for him. He must now just be able to come home, because he's going to find lift along the south and southwest face. He's going to have the sun. He's got actually quite a lot of cloud, but we can see a good breeze. We can see a good southwesterly breeze. And as they come along, we will expect Werner to gain some height. Do you like to run back along here, along this face? Ignazi, would you like to run back along this face at that height?
Yeah, it works very good, this phase, and I think they'll be able just to go all the way to Cerdanya and the finish line. Looks like Thilo and Kai are just taking their time to go up, but they're getting a better lead now.
Yeah, you see Mike's 2,300. At this point here, he could actually run into the turn and out again. And what's happening to Serge? Serge must have his engine out. He's going like a train here. He's just going really, really well low in the valley. Do you know, it could be that we have quite a strong valley breeze down here at low level. And he's finding just the right altitude to keep pushing. He's finding just the right altitude to get the best energy line. And everybody else is trying to get high, and Serge is just pushing along. He's actually been gaining height. He's not really climbed along there, although I think he's just stopping to climb now. And he's got good lift and good energy here. If Mike looks out to the west, he'll see him climbing, and he'll be able to. But Mike's climbing wrong. And Mike has probably now got enough height to make the turn and come back onto the slopes. Werner, he's heading east. He's going to pass Serge in a minute. And I think he'll even be above him. Yeah, I should think that he's going to pass above Serge at this point on the next leg. Well, I'm surprised at that, because I'm surprised that Serge managed to get from so low on the south side of the valley back up again and back into the race. That was a really good effort on his part. Yeah. I think that Philippe and Kai and Thilo really together here and thinking, well, what's the point in making a rush here? What's the point in hurrying? Fridolin, he's how high is Fridolin? He's 2,100. Nobody's really high except for Thilo. Thilo's way up here.
Thilo and Kai are holding hands.
And they're climbing. Yep. They're in touch with each other. Yeah. And Philippe Depeshi's there with them.
Yeah, 2,200 though.
Yeah, it's quite a bit lower, isn't it? It makes quite a lot of difference, 400 meters.
Really big. Yeah, I've always found that La Carvassa, when it works best, is just above, obviously above the crest, and it's in the ridge effect. It works, but it takes forever to climb.
Yeah, you don't get a really strong climb at that point. No. Aldo's running on again at 2.2. That's not so high. 2,200.
No,
Could do with being higher really to get round the corner.
yeah, more or less what Mike was doing, but I don't remember if Mike was maybe 100 meters higher.
Well, we've got quite an interesting race there for second place because Serge has come back up from 2,200 to 2,300 meters very quickly in this spot, just on the south side of Montreal. The valley is very narrow at this point, and maybe just at this point he's got a very good wind on the ridge, which at low level gives him a much stronger lift.
We have now here Mike on.
Mike will be running in. He'll be turning before Serge, but I should think by the look of it, he's going to be turning just a little bit lower. And he's.
Mike just stopped to climb a little bit.
I think that there'll be a sense, some of the pilots will be thinking, yeah, well, Mike knows that he's not going to make third place now. He knows he'll be able to see Werner coming out of the turn. And he'll think, well, that's me, I can't make third place. So he won't want to push it now. He knows he's not going to win the day either, so he's going to take the turn, he's going to come home. Serge, he's probably thinking, well, I've not had a very good week. Today's a day when I can do a really good flight and make some points. Maybe he's going to push on here into the turning point. And he's obviously found the right way to do this.
Yes.
He's obviously found the right technique for running low down in this valley. And it's be a little bit of a race now between him and Mike to come home in second place. Yeah. Mike's quite a lot higher now, though. He's climbed up to 2,400 meters at this point. And from 2,400, he's going to be able to come straight back onto the slope and cruise. He doesn't seem to me to be in such a hurry now, Mike, because I think he's seen that Werner's come out of the turn. Werner's only 2,100, but he's in a good area. He's in an area where there's a good chance of some energy as he runs along. I think he'll be able to just cruise along around the south side of Calabasa, along Marangues into the turning point 5 and home.
He's just turning, but doesn't climb very much right now.
No. Where's Thilo and Philippe? They're still up here.
Yeah.
They're still heading for the stratosphere. They're still seeing who can get the highest.
Yeah, exactly.
Philippe, mind you, Philippe hasn't really climbed. He's still only 2,100.
Yeah, it's as we could see it at low level, it's pretty hard to get those few meters that you need before you can just turn.
Werner looks like he wants to climb up a little bit. Mike's taking this at 2,200. We can see Thilo now is running for the turn. Thilo's got the similar sort of height that Mike had. He should be able to make that turn now and come back up the south side, up the south faces, and he should be in a comfortable position for coming home. Serge is making the turn first. And as we can look here, we see that coming into the turning point, and Serge is there just before Mike. He's taken it there, and he'll be turning now and leaving. There's the town of Cerdanya underneath, very pretty place.
It is.
You can see the road splits here and goes up into Andorra, and it comes this way towards the valley of Cerdanya.
Yeah, we can see that between Leclerc and Mike, there is a couple hundred meters that can make the difference between getting a really good lift or not once they hit back the highland.
If we look now at the height that Serge is coming out of the turn, and we can see that it's not very comfortable. He's not very high there, and it could be that it could be a little bit difficult coming back onto the hills from that point. I'm just trying to get a view where we can see them coming back on the hills. What do you think they're going to do when they come back onto here?
They'll just go straight to the region. Probably Serge is gonna go straight to the place where he climbed before when he was at the 1900, and he got a really good lift up to 2300.
Yeah, we've got the turning point a bit in the way here. Let's see what's going through. Look through the turning point. Here we go. They're coming onto the slopes, not very high. I wouldn't want to be at Serge's height at 1900 meters, but when we think about him flying most of the way down the valley at that sort of height, well, maybe he's quite comfortable. They're just cruising along here. Look a little bit wide. You can see that they're not that far above the bottom of the valley. You can see that it's really quite undulating. They are still not in that comfortable position. Werner, he's not that high either. You know, we saw the other day that Kai landed out, coming out of this valley, because he never climbed at all. Now, I doubt that that's going to happen now, but they're not high, and they're not that comfortable.
No.
And Werner went up the mountain to try to climb, but actually he's on final glide, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's up here, and he's smoking home now.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you said before, this part of the valley, there is no landable fields in between La Cerdanya and La Seu.
Yeah. We can see Kai Lindenberg going the other way, look, and he's only at 2,200 meters. This is not very high. This is not, because he's got to go to the turning point, yes?
Yeah.
He's got to get into the turning point. Thilo, he's way up at 2,500 meters, yeah, so he's cruising, he's doing okay. Aldo was not so high a moment ago. Yeah, they're just not climbing there. It's just stopped working, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We can see that all the guys who come up here now, Philippe Depeschi's got the same problem. They're just not gaining any altitude. And that's going to be a bit of an issue for Serge and for Mike coming back. And Mike's only 60 meters above Serge. Let's have a look and see them coming along the slope here. And it's not like a really nice smooth face with the wind blowing up it.
No, it's not. But they're going to just where Philippe and Aldo are. It usually works very good, and probably Serge and Mike are going there as well.
They can see them, do you think?
Yeah.
And do you think they're high enough to get into there?
Yeah, I usually fly much higher on these places because it's pretty scary, that valley.
Yeah, it's pretty scary at that height. These guys are only how high? 700, 800 meters above the bottom of the valley, which isn't very high. Now they need to climb. I would say that both Mike and Serge did, but Serge flew down this valley at low level.
Yeah.
So maybe he thinks he can fly back. They could probably now just about make Cerdanya. They might just about have enough altitude to make the airfield, but they don't have enough altitude to make the turning point and then the airfield.
See where Mike is, usually there is a good thermal there with because it faces very well the sunshine and also this breeze.
Yeah, there isn't much sun out there, is there, Herman?
No, not really.
No. We can welcome Herman Trimble, who's come to watch the show this weekend, and I'll have a word with Herman in a moment. But you've been looking out there at the weather. What do you think it looks like?
No, it's getting wetter and wetter, so it's I would say more difficult. The last part, because the moist air is coming in from the Mediterranean Sea, so it's not easy.
No. Well, look, we have Mike's still 2,000 meters and he's climbing, and Serge 1.9. and I think he's climbing also. So they found something to climb up in. Mike's climbing here. Werner must be long way gone now. Where's Werner? Yeah, he's heading into the last turning point for coming home. And Werner's height, he's 1600 meters. Yeah, that should be fine. We can see Werner is just about to take the control point, so he'll be home in a few minutes. And well done to him for today. And we have here Mike is actually got back up a little bit. He's back up to 1900 meters. He's not hanging around though. He's decided not to suicide.
Yeah.
And we've got Serge, who's climbed a little bit, but 1900 meters, it's not so high. Yeah. So what do you think to GP racing?
It's a great event. I think it's a very, very good idea to make these families, this small family of the guide pilot, to come together and to exchange good ideas. I like it much more than these big competitions what we have already now.
But do you think it's very competitive with the scoring system? It's,
exactly.
The pilots like it because they can do really well one day.
And there's no tactic behind, no strategy, and no.
You can see the pilots are relaxed when they're waiting to launch because they don't have to decide anything.
Exactly.
They just take off,
and fly.
they start, and they just fly.
Yeah, fly as good as they can. That's it.
And no team flying. There's no having to worry about other people's teams. Everybody stays same frequency. It seems that when the top pilots are very competitive, then you get very good racing, really proper racing, not like gliding. We know, not like soaring racing, but not like World Championships, but really hard, pushy racing. They really want to get home first, and that makes it very exciting to watch.
And also for the pilots, of course.
Oh, they
really like it.
Yeah, they seem to get a big buzz, a big buzz out of it. And where's Serge now? Serge is, ooh la la, he's 1800 meters. They're coming on to Carabassa again. Mike, I think, is home, don't you? He's got, oh, he's not really high, but I think he's going to be okay. He's got 1900 meters. If he takes this side here, we have a southwest wind on the airfield, so there should be a little bit of lift to help him along here, and that will bring him into the turning point and home.
And now he has a really good tailwind, but after the control point and the final glide, he'll have a headwind.
Yeah, we can see that Mike's doing 200 kilometers an hour now. And I would say that's a sign that Mike's pretty confident about having enough height to come home, wouldn't you?
I believe so.
And Serge, how fast is Serge going? Is he getting confident yet?
145.
So Serge is still trickling. He's still trying to get the height. He's still trying to work his way. Yeah, Werner is finishing. Werner's finished the race. He's won. He's done really well. We're going to try and get Werner here to come and have a few words. Herman, we'd like Werner to come and say hi to you.
With a joy.
Thank you very much. And the drama continues. We have Fridolin. Ooh, Fridolin's 2,000 meters, still going to the turning point, about halfway along. I don't think there's much interest in watching the other end of it. Thilo is still out here. What's he doing? Thilo is at where is
2,300.
He's 2-3.
Almost 3-4.
The problem that you cannot see on the screen is that all of this area is now covered in stratocumulus. When they went out, they had beautiful cumulus, and the air is becoming moister, as Herman said, and it's cutting down the amount of sunshine. That, in turn, makes it more difficult to find the energy. You also have quite a good wind blowing down the valley. And this doesn't blow up the slopes, it blows along the valley. And that also makes it difficult for the thermals to get there. Kai's turning now. Kai's turning at 2,000 meters. Yeah, he's still going to need to climb a little bit. We saw that Mike and Serge turned at 2,200 meters. and they turned at that height, and they only just trickled home slowly. But Kai, it needs to climb back up a little. Tilo is
it's coming back as well through the highland.
yeah. Tilo is trying to get the altitude, and I think Tilo now, has he been round the turn? No, I think he still has to go round.
He already touched the
He's
turn,
made the
I
turn.
believe.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. It's difficult to see from where we are. Let's see if these guys have finished yet. Mike and Mike is here, and he's about to enter the last circle. And we can see what's happening here. Yeah, Mike is coming in now. Oh, Peter Panic's back here. Has he given up?
No.
Yeah. Oh, Peter's. Oh, Peter seems to be down back at the airfield. It looks like Peter's come back to land. Yeah, and it looks like maybe Fridolin is still struggling out there to go. Miguel's still not very high. He's on the hill on the other side of the valley. I think Miguel will be landing soon also, because I think Miguel will realize that there's no points in it for him today. And if you don't get in the top 9, you get nothing.
Yeah.
It's a very harsh system, but a good system, because it means you can have a bad 1 or even 2 days, you can still win the competition. Can you see Eva here? She's up in the mountain.
In Miranges.
Yeah. How high is Eva then?
2,460.
Wow, so she's come right back up. Do you think she'll carry on? I wonder if she'll carry on.
Yes, she will.
Because there's 3 people now who are back in the airfield, landed. Still doesn't put Eva in the points. She's still can't be in the points. If Fridolin goes round, we see Tilo's coming home. Aldo, has Aldo been round? I think Aldo
is here with Philippe and Kai. Aldo is 2,300 now.
Yeah.
And almost same high as Philippe the machine.
Yeah, and Kai. Kai's been round, so Kai's climbing up to come home.
Yeah, exactly.
He's at 2,100 meters, which if he's climbing there, this is a very good place to climb. So if they're climbing up there, they can then come home from, if you are level with the top of this mountain, then you get home. You get home without any problem, and we can see that they get a climb above the lower slope. They come higher up here onto the higher slope, and then they can get home. These mountains are here really beautiful. There's no snow on the mountains at this time of the year, not on these lower mountains. In the springtime, all of this would be covered in snow. And we now have 1, 2, 3. We have Fridolin, is 4. All in the area of the turning point. Tilo, who's coming home, is 5. And we have 3 guys who are finishing. So that makes it 8. So who will be the 9th point? Who will be in the 9th place today? Eva is here. She's going okay. Mike is finishing. He's we just get it back on the vertical picture here, and we can see that Mike is just coming back into the airfield now, and we can just see the finish.
And we have Jeff Billy back in Miranges and climbing at this exactly same place as Werner. But,
Yep, so there's Mike finishing. He'll be happy. There's Peter Panek, who's I think abandoned the race, and he's come back. He's out of today's race, and we should be seeing next one to finish. We should be seeing Serge, and Serge is coming up now to the turning point. Can't find him at the moment. He's
here.
He's still back a little bit.
Yeah. 1700, and he's not too confident, I believe, because he's maintaining 160 ground speed.
So he's still flying quite slowly.
Yeah.
He didn't get that little bit of extra energy.
Mm.
Tilo's hot on his tail here. Tilo's doing 200 kilometers an hour. He's happy now that he's coming home. Tilo will get 4th place today if Serge gets back okay. He'll be happy with that. Fridolin, he's still stuck here. He hasn't really got up. Fridolin, he's got to get up somehow. And he's 2-2. Yeah, he's okay. He'll be okay because even if there's not much sun, he should be able to come round on the south side of the mountain here at Monteru, and he should be able to climb in ridge lift. Now we see Aldo and Philippe de Pesci are running into the turning point. They are at 2,100 and 2,000 meters. I don't think they'll do the same thing that Mike did. I don't think they'll do the same thing. And they'll probably run back up the slope. So we have Werner here. Please come and sit down, Werner. We're watching your flight with great interest.
Okay.
Yeah? You've put up a very good flight. Please have a seat. We have still got a nice audience here watching our race.
Okay.
It's a really good flight.
Yes.
Did it follow the plan that you had for the flight, or?
Yes, it followed the plan. I had before the start, I have been very high in the high mountains on the Andorra Valley, and looked for the conditions and looked if there's a valley which possible to fly behind over. But I thought that's not a good idea. Then I went over the start line. It was a good start. And as many days ago, Michael Young pushed, and I went with him, and we turned together. Also, Charlie Tango was with us. And after turning, Charlie Tango flew about 500 meters more because he thought to catch a terminal. And Mike and I turned immediately. And then Mike took another decision and lost some meters, and then he couldn't reach a good terminal. And he went on and get lower and lower, and I climbed and he was alone.
Yeah, we saw that climb. The climb when you came back from the first turning point, back onto the south face, and you caught a really good climb to 3,000 meters.
Nearly, yeah.
After that, you stayed high all the time.
Yes, I flew always line and made some divergence to the course, but had a good line.
What you didn't see is that in the next part, you went on to take the turning point very nicely, went back on the north side and climbed up, came to take the turning point, and then you went up the Morangues Valley to climb. And it looked like you might not find such a good climb.
Yes, because I had very long to fly until I found something about nearly shadow there. But I said I'm in front, I thought, and I was a little afraid that I can't find a good terminal on the other side. And I saw a paraglider in the end of the valley, and then I thought that should work. And then I could climb there.
Then you climbed up eventually. Because whilst you were flying up the valley to find your climb, Mike took the turn and he went down the other side of the Caravassa mountain, and then
on the south side.
On the west side.
On the west side,
And so he was now in distance, he was catching you up.
Okay.
And it was beginning to look a little bit interesting because you weren't climbing so well. But then Mike didn't climb and you did. And you climbed up high, and maybe you saw him when you came over the top. He was below you, but on the face of the mountain.
It was interesting. Up in the next valley, I had a good altitude, but I had a bad line and I had nothing to climb. There were clouds, but always sanding and nothing was working. And so I was happy to climb in this valley.
And your final climb, you took the turning point.
I took the turning point and made the final, and I made about 100 meter reserve at, I don't know the name.
The small hill.
A small hill, yes. And it was
Very good flight, Werner. So that cements your place for the final in Varese.
I hope.
You're looking forward to it?
I will be there, I hope so.
Excellent. Werner, thank you very much for coming.
Okay.
Thank you for a great
Thanks,
flight.
guys.
Yeah? Well, I think that we just get back to see where everybody is now and coming home. And we have Friedlin, always still going. He's not going to give up. Friedlin doesn't give up. He's a mountain man. Friedlin is how high? We have not sure at the moment. We'll check that out for you. And Philippe de Pesci and Aldo are round the turn, probably going to climb. Philippe de Pesci and Aldo have a good altitude, I think, maybe 2,100? 2,000, yeah. So that actually, yeah, 2,000 is not brilliant. It's not a lot of height, is it?
No.
They would be really happy to climb a bit further. I think that they would need to go further up the slope to climb, but then they're going away from the track.
Exactly. None of the competitors chose that option, but could be a good one.
So we just check out the height for Kai Lindenberg. We can have a look here. And we can see now that the height is really critical. We can see that Kai is 2,100. Well, that should be okay.
Yeah, he should be okay.
Also, we can see he's right up into the mountains. He's right up on the slope. So what energy there is, he should be picking it up. And he's flying at quite quickly, 190 kilometers an hour. So he's feeling comfortable. He's not flying really slowly.
It's a funny valley because from where he's now until past like maybe 5 kilometers, usually there is a downdraft, very good downdraft.
And here we have Aldo again. Let's just check out the height for Aldo and Friedlin. We have Friedlin still has to take the turning point, and he is at 2,200 meters. Well, he can take the turning point, and he can come back onto the slope and take the same line as Philippe and Kai took. And we can see that they're not that high, they're 1,900. But as we've just seen, that Serge and Mike came back from that sort of height. And we have now here the second place for today, Mike Young. Mike, you had a great flight. You put up a really good fight there. We were watching every minute of it in the race. We saw that you tactics going into the first turn. Tell us a little bit about how you feel the flight went.
I think well, the flight went pretty well. I think I made an error coming back towards Mont Louis. I didn't climb high and I got low, and I think that was one of the big mistake of the day, really. I think that's probably where Werner went past. I don't know, I didn't see him. And then going towards the last turn, I managed to lose a bug wiper. So I spent a certain amount of time fumbling trying to get the bug wipers in, which I don't think helped. But even with that, I don't think I would have catched Werner looking at the time difference.
Yeah. I think what happened, we can tell you now because we saw it all happen.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
Is after the first turning point, you were together.
Yeah.
You came back onto the Monterey slopes.
Yeah.
And Werner gained just a few meters on you, 50 meters or so.
Yeah.
And he was a little bit north of you, coming onto Monterey.
Right.
And he hooked quite a good climb on the after Monterey mountain.
Yeah.
And you were just a little bit south of him. We weren't not sure whether you could see each other.
No, I couldn't see him at that point, and I was concentrating on getting around the next.
Well, unfortunately for you, Mike, Werner climbed to 3,000 meters in that climb.
Yeah, well, that's
and it made a very big difference.
Yeah.
Because from that moment, he was able to fly very high, all the way down that leg to Mont Louis, and you and everybody else.
Yes.
Who didn't get that climb, they had to fly lower, and they didn't climb. And some of them got very low. Jill got very low. Eva got very low. And
I got
Miguel got very low.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
300 feet, 300 meters lower.
Yeah.
Jill came back to land. Eva's still flying. Miguel is local, and we think he's going to land. And Peter Panic, we think he's also landing back here.
Yeah,
So-
he's just landed back. So,
So exciting day.
it was good. Yeah, good task and
The
exciting.
race.
Well, because I ended up in front, it was unlike the other tasks where I was playing catch up. Apart from I didn't know that Werner, the ace from Austria, was that far ahead. I thought I was actually ahead of everyone at that point. But yeah, it was good fun. Good fun. Good race.
Yeah, well, Mike, it's been great watching the racing here this week. And you don't look like you qualified for the final out
I
of
know.
this.
Yeah.
Now, does that hurt enough to make you want to go and qualify in another one?
Not. It depends how much it costs to go and qualify somewhere else. But yeah, I'd certainly like to have another go somewhere else. It was great fun. It's a completely different type of racing to conventional championships. It's a much more sort of cutthroat type.
Gentlemanly cutthroat.
Gentlemanly cutthroat. Yeah, exactly.
It's certainly very exciting with no team flying, no start tactics, waiting to start. There's only
Yep.
one thing you have to do.
Fly the task.
Fly the task.
Yeah.
Fly the race and fly it really well. Yeah? Mike, thanks for
Right.
coming in. We wish you well, and we do hope you have another go at qualifying for Racing, because we very much like to see you there.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Mike.
Great task.
And just to round up, folks, let's just see what's happening here. It looks like Philippe Depesche is going to be coming home. Philippe is, he's 2,000 meters. Aldo, he's 2,000 meters. Looks like he's going to be coming home as well. He's 1,900 meters, but it should be enough. Friedelin's still having a nice time ridge soaring up here. He's just about to be joined by Jeff Billy with the Libelle, who's had a really good flight. You know, Jeff might even get a point. And Ava, she's climbed really high. She's going to be okay. She'll get round the turn, I'm pretty sure. And once she's round the turn, she might find it fairly easy to come back. The cloud is actually dissipating a little bit as the convection dies. The cloud dies with it. A little bit more sun. It could just be possible that the conditions improve a little bit. De La Rosa, Silvero, he's at 1,700 meters. Now that's not really high, and he's going to have to climb up to come home. We're going to sign off now. We hope you've enjoyed watching the race. We hope you've understood what we've been talking about. We hope our experiment has worked and that all Benjamin's hard work to get all this stuff linked together has been successful. We'd like to hear from you if it worked for you. And please send us a mail back to brian@sgp.aero. Until the next Grand Prix in South Africa in a few weeks' time, I hope you can cope with not having a Grand Prix to watch, and we look forward to providing you with some great racing in South Africa. So it's bye from me, and it's bye from
Benjamin.
Benjamin. Yeah, good. Well done, Benjamin.